Thought we were. Are we now? Effectively? Dang, I wanted to teach some wrestling today too, and now I have to. If I do that in gi pants, I'll be the laughing stock of the town.
Dang, I wanted to teach some wrestling today.
Oh wow, that's fast.
Do you have any shorts?
Dude, give me a pair of your Nike shorts, your nice like athletic shorts. I know you got a pair of those in there somewhere.
Вчиться від нас. we gotta ask people to go to KeenanOnline.com/LegionLive and vote on what we're gonna do on Friday.
Hey guys, if you want to vote on what we do Friday, go to KeenanOnline.com/LegionLive. Did you post a link in the chat for them?
Yeah.
There's a link, apparently.
If you wanna leave a question, click on the button on the bottom of the screen.
Someone said the volume is really low. Should be better now. Yeah. Yeah, probably.
We don't have any questions, really.
I don't need questions. I don't want questions, actually. Have I been cultivating mass? I've been losing mass. Some same grip judo throws. We have a lot of judo aficionados in here.
Someone's saying it's time.
Yeah, it's time. I vote you let Hinger join you guys and live in your house. Nope, we're not letting anyone in.
Dude, if we get Hinger, then we're gonna get like a dozen girls that come with him, you know?
Doesn't sound like, I mean, more the merrier, right? You could create like your own little ecosystem in like a farm somewhere. Just get away from it all. If you could somehow make sure that no one had coronavirus. Anyways, that's a weird tangent. We're gonna get started. Let's bow it in. Everyone, thanks for coming. All right, let's talk a little bit about some wrestling today. Wrestling is such an important part of Nogi, but people don't really naturally gravitate towards it, I would say, because it's so physically intensive. It's kind of the opposite of what jiu-jitsu has represented for so long, with all of the guard playing and the technique, and it's like supposed to be fluid and gentle, and wrestling is kind of the opposite of that. But as we've seen, front headlock control and the different positions that we talked about are so reliant on wrestling, especially from guard, where we were coming up on single legs and things like that. So I'm going to show you just a few wrestling techniques that can help you out. Now these are going to be not super simple. I'm not just going to show single leg or double leg or anything like that. I'm going to show a little bit more technical stuff that can help those of you that maybe already know how to shoot a pretty solid single leg or a double leg. I want to talk about some wrist control things and different ways you can set up your shots through some kind of trickery. The very first one, first of all, let's just talk a little bit about gripping and grip fighting. Now in wrestling, the rules are a little different. Basically, I need a clear shot to his legs, right? Anywhere from like the rib line down is takedown area. I can go for takedowns in these areas. I can get the leg, I can get the body lock, and I'll be able to get a takedown. If I get close like this and I connect my hands behind his back, usually this is what you're looking for, some sort of clasped hand behind his back or his leg or something like that. But if his arms are up and in the way, every time I go to close the distance, he's going to be blocking and hand fighting me and dealing with my situation. So I have to be setting up my attacks. And a setup is kind of the same thing as an off balance when we talk about guard playing, to get someone to base or plant or just do something other than defend your attack. So when you're going for these takedowns, you have to do setups. And a simple example of a setup would be something as simple as a collar tie. Tying up on someone's neck like this and trying to pull them down a little bit here, and then even putting your head in proper positioning here, just makes him have to resist. He has to move away, he's got to do something else, he's got to clear the hand, and just that can be enough. Say he wants to clear my hand, that can be enough to close distance. And that's just a small opening, and that's really what's happening throughout the whole hand fight scenario. Even something as simple as like a pummel drill. When you're pummeling, this is technically a setup. Because when you're in an actual wrestling match and you get the double pummel and we get to double unders, we can actually move around behind people's backs and do things that help us set up the Nogi takedown. All right. Some of more simple setups would be something like just an elbow push, just moving his arm across his center line so that I have a free shot to reach at his leg, like that, or an arm drag, something like that. Can just pull their arms out of the way, because if I don't do that and I just try and shoot, I'm either going to get my head grabbed in a guillotine, or I'm just going to get stuffed with underhooks or something like that. I'll just be here. It's not where you want to be, because the risk in Nogi Jiu-Jitsu is so high for taking shots because you land in front headlock if you mess it up. And we talked about this a couple days ago, I think, maybe it was on Friday or something, how front headlock is so important. So everything that you do in jiu-jitsu wrestling scenarios has to be with the intention of protecting yourself from getting front headlocked and choked. And so that adds a different layer of uncertainty. And this is why, I mean, wrestlers kind of can blast right through a lot of people's guillotines and finish takedowns anyways if you've been training and drilling your whole life. But for people who haven't been wrestling their whole lives, you have to take a more technical approach and kind of adapt it to jiu-jitsu, because you might not have like a super strong neck and a really powerful shot from drilling forever. So you have to do setups. And I'm just going to start with just a simple setup here that's very tricky, but not hard to pull off. All right? So you can always count on your opponent trying to get some sort of control on you. Wrist control is a really common one if someone gets wrist control here. All right? So his hand is on my wrist. I can break this grip pretty easily by just pointing my thumb towards the direction of his open fingers here and kind of just chopping it out, like throwing a little hook, or just like pointing your elbow towards him can break these grips. But you got to remember, just like in the gi, sometimes people grip you, and you can use their own grip to accomplish something. Like maybe they have a lasso on you, and I showed a lasso pass when they have the grip still. So the fact that he holds onto a grip can be used effectively still. So this is something I learned from Daryl Christian, who's a high-level Greco wrestler. But basically, when someone has your hand like this, you can clear their hand here, like opening their hand up and out is going to expose opportunities to get to his leg if he hangs on to this. And maybe he's super smart, and when I open this up, he knows that, and he's just going to let go and go back to defending his leg. But most of the time, if you do something like this fast, they're not going to have the reactions or the anticipation to block that. Now, I'm not just going to open up and reach for his leg, because if I just go here and I shoot like this, nothing really happens. He still has my wrist control. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring it behind my back like this. So his arm goes up and over me here. All right? I'll show you from the front angle. So I shoot and I bring it behind my back. So I'm dropping to my right knee, bringing it kind of in between his legs as I shoot in, and I lift my elbow up and I tuck my head through, almost like I'm looking up to the ceiling to bring it behind the back. And what that does is it actually breaks the grip and puts me in a position where I'll be able to turn the corner before he grabs my head. Okay? So here, if you do this quick enough, look what happens with my hand. I still am pointing my thumb towards the direction that it can break. I'm still doing that same motion, just instead of going forward here, I'm going behind my back. And as I shoot here, I look up. It's very important that you look up, because if you stay low like this, you're not going to break the grip, and he might just like chicken wing you or something, which probably won't happen. All right, so I'm lifting, bringing behind my back, and just snapping my arm down to break the grip. From this position, this is what's called a high crotch. You have a lot of different options from here. The safest one is just to try and circle to his back immediately. You can just stop and come up on a single leg, but because my head is on the outside of his ribs here, I lose a lot of my ability to follow through on the takedown, and I'm at risk for guillotines. So the reach is just to secure myself to his leg, because in a normal wrestling scenario, if I reach for someone's leg, he's going to sprawl that leg back, and it's going to be difficult for me to secure it. So by committing to a really deep shot on this high crotch, here, I can hold this tight so that as he tries to sprawl back, I can circle and come to the back here. All right? Trying to come out to the body lock. Now, this is something that's very valuable when someone is beating you in a hand fight scenario, because if I'm fighting here and I get wrist control, I'm just going to do a different setup. I can do an arm drag, I can do something here, I can switch to like Russian tie, something like this. But if he's beating you, you need to have options to be able to turn the tide. If I just focus on breaking the grip, this leaves me open to getting attacked or getting set up onto a shot himself. So I need to be able to have offense even when I'm in defensive positions, and technically this is a defensive position. And you can even arm drag off someone else's wrist grip. Like, just because they grabbed your wrist doesn't mean that you're not connected. I'm still connected to him. So I can arm drag as well and potentially set stuff up. But for this one, we're just here. It's a really good way for people who aren't super confident on their shots to take a shot, because it puts their body in a position where they can't sprawl on your neck, which is pretty effective. How to prevent guard pull from clinch. Let me talk a little bit about that. Yeah, you stand high in your stance in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu guys stand a little more upright than wrestlers, because if you bring your level too low, it's very easy to get snapped down into front headlock and choked unconscious. So you have to take on kind of an awkward stance. It doesn't look like normal wrestling, which is why people who like maybe wrestle and then see jiu-jitsu guys wrestle, they talk crap on their wrestling. But when you're incorporating submissions into a wrestling scenario, it changes a lot. And you can't really just follow straight normal wrestling rules, because it's a different rule set. Just like judo guys aren't going to throw people, do sacrifice throws that end up exposing their back. It's not really a realistic throw. Like, sure, you can throw someone, but if they land on your back, it's like kind of defeats the purpose of the throw.
We do actually have questions here. They're a bit vague, but we could go for them.
I see a lot of questions about guard pulling, which is an interesting concept in Nogi, because guard pulling is like, you don't really ever pull to a secure guard. Probably your best bet is pulling into single leg X, or even dropping into like a leg lock attack is pretty effective. But let's talk about it. So, also, you can take stances to kind of defend yourself from getting taken down, because yes, you should wrestle and you need to learn how to do takedowns, but most people aren't going to put the time to really learn the full fundamentals of wrestling. They kind of just learn a takedown and then apply it to their jiu-jitsu grappling, and that's why there's kind of a disconnect and people have bad form or bad posture in jiu-jitsu, because they're spending so much time doing jiu-jitsu on the ground that they don't have a lot of time to cultivate the stand-up game. And so some people just don't want to or don't care about wrestling. That's just a common thing. They don't want to have to wrestle. They'll just pull guard and avoid they'll avoid the situation. I mean, some of those guys, they'll handle business. So guard pullers, I respect you, even if Mihan doesn't. All right? So
what are we going over?
I'm explaining guard pulling right now.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to be able to pull guard effectively without getting shot on, because you don't want to have just a really bad stance and look like you're going to pull guard any second because he's going to shoot on you. So you do have to know some semblance of wrestling and make sure that you know how to pull guard effectively, and you have to have an understanding of grip fighting and wrist control and controlling someone's body. So usually a 2-on-1 wrist control is very good for someone who doesn't have a lot of wrestling experience and they're trying to stay safe. If you're not controlling the person's arms and you're trying to just disengage here, this is where a wrestler can really punk you, because he's going to be using, and you have to keep your arms in a position where he's not going to be able to shoot a double leg on you in your bad jiu-jitsu posture, right? But because if you're not a wrestler and you get into a good wrestler stance but you don't know how to wrestle, this is actually worse for you than having a bad stance, because it's putting your head closer to him to actually attack. So sometimes it's you kind of have to make a decision. Are you going to learn how to wrestle properly, or are you just going to learn how to wrestle enough to survive the first neutral engagement of jiu-jitsu? So if you're trying to survive the first neutral engagement of jiu-jitsu and not try and learn how to be a super good wrestler, which is some people's goal, a more upright stance is fine because you can keep your arms lower like this and not have to engage directly into a hand fighting, wrist fighting battle. But when they do reach for you, your main goal should be to get double wrist control. Because if I get double wrist control on one of his arms and really focus on not letting him use this arm, you're going to effectively be able to pull guard without him shooting on you. Because it's very unlikely that he'll be able to shoot with this one arm, especially if I circle in the opposite direction of the danger. So if this is the arm that's dangerous, meaning it can take me down, I just circle in the opposite direction so he can't have a clear shot as you pull guard, all right? And taking your hands off is fine if you have a pretty solid grip.
Can you show that grip for a second, just like to the camera?
Here it is. This is the grip.
I think what people miss is this like overlocking thumbs. I've seen people grip their arm like, this and like that, and it's like super poor control.
Yeah, I would say definitely. I never thought about that. Yeah, like you definitely don't just want to grab without thinking, like just grabbing. You definitely want to focus your ability to control the slimmest part of his hand, which is the wrist. You don't want to grab at the forearm necessarily. Just grabbing right at the wrist and really overlapping to create a solid control so that he can't just rip out one way or the other. This is very strong and very difficult to break. One hand is super easy to break. If I go over like this, it's a little bit harder because he has to go in the other direction. But just doubling up is fine. It's almost like the lapel pull that we talked about. You know, this is just a safe position, and it's not sacrificing anything. And you'll be ready to. You can shoot off of this as well. You can be moving that arm across and be shooting. From here, just circle away from the leg that they can shoot on, or the arm that they can shoot with, and you're pulling. Now, wrist control is super good to actually establish the guard. Remember, we want to be off balancing immediately. So the second, remember, if you're pulling like this, he's probably pulling away, and that's the perfect time to go for your double kouchis and the DDS squad stuff, which everyone should really be doing because they're good attacks. If you don't like that as much, you can just put both feet behind and pull into single leg X as well. But we're trying to get to a closed guard where we can actually control, because staying on your back, like we said, can be pretty tough. That's not to say open guard isn't bad. Like, you can still play open guard effectively, but you need to be using this trying to get underneath someone, like either through reverse Del Hiva stuff or mantis guard type stuff here. But mainly you're looking to off balance and get up to someone's leg so we can start wrestling them down again from the guard. I can go more into wrist control too. Oh yeah, the body triangle escape for sure. I forgot we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Would you say body locks and front headlocks would be where someone should spend the most of their time as far as takedown training goes? I think, yeah, if you're just trying to be proficient in a standing situation, front headlock controls are really good, because even if you get shot on, you always have an opportunity to go for front headlock when someone shoots on you. Like, you can at least try. Even if you get taken down, you're still going to be in somewhat control of their upper body. And you can use that to reverse, or use it like with butterfly hooks when you have that grip over the top. All right, so let's go over a body lock escape, some back escapes that can be pretty effective. So Miho's going to get on my back. Now, there's two main escapes, I would say, when someone is on your back. And try not to squish the mic when you choke me and stuff. So here, he's going to have the seatbelt, right? This is the control arm. This is the choking arm. I always want to be controlling the choking arm. I don't have to worry about the control arm unless it becomes the choking arm. So don't be focusing on grabbing here. I see a lot of people grab too low on this hand. This hand's not doing anything. This is not the hand that's going to choke me. You must control the arm that's going to choke you. It's this top arm here, all right? The next thing, as a fundamental that you always want to try and go for, is putting the choking arm on bottom. If I roll to this side, this is the side that he's going to choke me from. He wants to be on his left side. So I want to always be going towards the arm that is choking you. All right? That kind of is counterintuitive because it's like, well, why am I moving towards that arm? Well, the reason I'm moving towards it is because I want to get to my right hip. All right? So let's turn this way a little. So whenever someone's on your back and you're falling to the side where their arm is underhooked on you, you need to realize this is the danger zone because this is where he can trap my top arm with the leg and potentially choke me even worse. So I don't want any of that, all right? And this arm, there's nothing to stop it. It can just continue attacking my neck and I have to just keep fighting it. But if I just roll to this side here, like this, it changes the dynamic because if he tries to let go of this underhook, my whole body is free, all right? So if I just control the choking arm here, like this, and he just holds me, it's fine. I'm not going to get choked. But you will guarantee you won't get choked if you're on this side because the second he switches to try and choke me with the other arm, like this, he now doesn't have a control arm. And if he doesn't have a control arm, that means my body is free to rotate towards him. So I can just start turning towards him. The only thing stopping me from doing that before was this underhook. So when he has this and I try and turn towards him, it gets tighter up on my neck here, all right? So you can just chill here and wait for him to choke with the other arm because he's always going to try. They're always going to try and reach and choke for the second arm. And when that happens is when you can start turning in. And the second I turn in, I keep my hands on the choking arm and I start to work it over my head here. Now from this position, if I let go too early, he's just going to mount me. So I can't just let go. When I have this wrist, I want to try and bring it down to his hip here and keep it in my hand. And when I keep this wrist in my hand, I start pushing it across and I free my bottom arm so I'll be able to get up to my elbow. But he won't because his elbow is extended. So even if he tries to bring it down to the ground, I can push away. And I like to just swing my hips to get a little extra momentum to come up to my elbow. Because if we're both fighting to get up, here I'm kind of stuck. So I actually have to do like kind of a hip switch in midair. So I like lift my hips and I swing to make sure that I can get the advantage here as he tries to get up too. Because he's not going to want to let go of the lock around my body, but really to end up on top, he has to do like a technical get up to actually end up on top. But if I turn in this way, that doesn't happen. Now there are situations where if he doesn't try and choke with the other arm, you can still escape, and I'll show that right now. So here, I fall to the side that I can actually defend from, which is this side. And this only really applies when he has full hooks already. But let's say he doesn't try and choke me with the other arm and I just want to clear it anyways. You still can do it. It's pretty easy. You just make sure that you get both thumbs underneath the choking arm wrist, like this. And I'm trying to push it away and up. Because if I just lay here and he doesn't let go, I'm not going to be able to escape naturally. It only works if he tries to choke me with the other arm because he realizes he can't keep choking, that it becomes very easy to pull that arm off. But if he keeps his hands together and is just focused on controlling, I can still escape the position by pushing his arms this way. And this creates some space here, where as I push his arms this way, I move in the same direction like I'm trying to get to my knees here, and then I turn back in to escape through the hole I created. And then the same thing applies. I'm pushing the wrist across, lifting my legs up and using them to come up on top so that I can win the dogfight scenario where he tries to fight to get on top as well. Can you avoid close guard in that escape? Not necessarily. If he is really trying to end up on top, you can, yeah. But if he's just like willing to let you escape, he can just take that option and just take close guard instead.
What about with a body triangle?
Yeah, I was going to go over that next. I'm just looking at the questions here. All right, now I'm going to talk about the body triangle.
Every time I body lock, I get foot lock.
Someone said that?
Am I a pussy? Yeah, no, you're not a pussy. No one hears me.
All right, so let's go over the body triangle. So this body triangle is pretty tricky because I'll try and keep talking here. So the problem is to escape the body triangle, I have to reach to his feet. And that puts me in danger of my neck, right? So we still have to do the same defenses here. I have to defend with the choking arm. So if he's choking me, he probably has the choking arm on top. I'm in a bad position here. Let's switch to the body triangle just so we can, because you probably choke normally with your right hand anyways, right? Yeah. So let's say we're here, like this. So this, now your choking arm is on bottom, so you're not going to be able to choke me here. So put the other arm on top, here. So this is where he's trying to get to, because from this position is where he can choke. This leg is body triangled in the position where he can actually use it to trap my arm if I do anything too crazy here. But I need to get to this foot. So what I do is I just bring my leg underneath his foot, extend it, and go here. Now he's still going to feel safe, and I can still be safe by controlling the choking arm. All right? And all I did was just put my foot here, or my knee here in front of his foot. Now I'm defending with the choking arm. Remember, I'm just always controlling the arm that could choke me, because the arm that can't choke me is not a threat, so I don't need to worry about controlling it. Then I reach and pull my hips up till I can get his foot here. If I catch over this foot, this creates a weird scenario, because now he's going to try and put the body lock back, but he can't actually. I can actually hold his foot very effectively, and he can't put the body lock back. And all I did was just one little movement. So he's here, I just straightened my leg and brought it here. Now if he tries to bring his leg up and over to go back to the triangle, that's fine, because when I, go ahead, just keep it locked, oh, okay. Here. When I come underneath and he tries to do that, it makes it very easy for me to grab his foot. Now from this situation, I can start pulling myself out, and look how the position starts to fall apart. I still need to be aware of the choking arm, however, so usually in this scenario, I just need to start walking over the second hook, because this hook will be in here still. I have to clear it and start walking over it to escape the position. Then from here, I'm in a position where I can use the back escape ideas that we talked about in the gi, where he can't really follow me with his hooks as long as I block here, and I can turn up to my knees. Very difficult for him to follow as I escape. So it's a matter of just taking your foot or your knee and clearing that first hook and then grabbing it, and it kind of falls apart. Let's see, Mike said, he has a question about a technique you taught a while back in class. It was a standing back takedown. You're standing behind your opponent with your hands clasped around their chest. Insert a back hook and circle behind the opponent and sit down to drag them to the ground. Yep. The first question is, when I do this, the opponent ends up crashing on top of me when I go to the ground. Any way to avoid this? Yes. Second question. When doing this, the opponent spreads their base with their feet, and it's hard to circle behind and sit down without sitting on their knee. Can you address this? Yes. Third question, when you start the technique, you're behind your opponent with your hands clasped behind around their chest. How do you deal with your opponent trying to Kimura you? Well, first, you're trying to grab around their chest, and that's not where you want to control. You want to control around their waist, mostly. I guess it will fluctuate from waist to chest, but I'll show you what Michael's talking about. So say we do some sort of takedown. Maybe I go for a single, and then I move and I get to his back here like this. It can be very difficult to get someone to the ground from here. There's a lot of different trips you can do and different things you can do, but you would usually want to avoid the most tempting solution, which is to jump on their back. If I just try and jump on his back, I might fall off and slide off and lose my advantage. So you kind of have to take things slow. Let me get your back again. You have to take things slow once you get someone's back. Now there's a technique that's very effective that I also learned from Daryl, which is bringing your leg around like this to the opposite leg here. And all this is doing is just making it so if I continue circling, he can't step with this leg backwards, because I'm going to be blocking it. But normally if I don't have that there, he's just going to circle with me and keep his balance, no problem. But when I throw this hook, I'm not trying to keep the hook close to me, I'm trying to put it all the way through. And that creates this inability for him to step forward with this leg or step back with this leg. So he can only move in one direction, which is forward and falling, because I'm putting so much weight on this front knee here, and I'm hooking. Now, it's very important, I'm not trying to sit on the side of his knee, I'm trying to fall forward still. I'm just bringing my weight up and on him and forward. Don't focus on the hook. The hook isn't what's doing it. I'm just putting the hook in, but my weight is on his back. I'm still trying to take his back. And all I'm doing is sitting my weight on his hip and his back here as I start to drag someone down and bring them forward. And you said that you're falling to the ground, which is that's what a takedown is. You're both falling to the ground. And if you're not willing to fall to the ground, you're probably not going to finish too many takedowns.
The guy falls on top of him. Was that it?
I mean, they're going to fall on top of you because you have their back and you're taking them down to the ground. Like you have to be able to just deal with that, because there's a lot of situations where you jump on someone's back and they're going to roll or do some sort of, they're going to fall and you're going to be underneath them. You just have to hold on tight and not get smashed, not get smushed, you know? So there's no way you can avoid someone falling on you when you're both falling to the ground. It just happens sometimes. You should be okay. It's not dangerous by any means. We're on mats. They're not like super bony, hopefully, and they're not going to stab you with an elbow as you fall. You should be fine, especially if you're just doing this properly and slowly. I'm holding tight around his waist. I'm putting this hook in, and I'm using my right foot to hop. So my right foot just hops forward as my left foot is hooking here. So I'm like this, I'm here, and my foot just starts hopping, hopping, hopping to bring him down. See how my chest stayed on his center back and I have my double underhook still? Like he didn't land on top of me, I just fell forward. And he fell forward because he couldn't support both of our weight on his one foot. And that's really what is happening, is I'm just putting enough weight on this one leg that he can't step with it. Here, I'm sitting so that all my weight is just driving directly straight down into his foot, just like his weight is. Here, and my right arm is holding tight at his hip with my body lock, and I'm just walking, walking, walking. And I land, I have one hook, and I finish with the second hook. But you have to be moving towards their back. Let me make sure I answered all the questions. Yeah, if he spreads his feet, also, I guess I didn't answer this one part. If I'm here and he takes a really wide stance, like this, look how for him to take a wide stance, he has to put his hands down. He can't take a wide stance and stay standing up. If he stands straight up here, Miha, with a super wide stance, and I have his back, this is not going to be effective. Like you just pull him in any direction, he can't get his feet up in time. So a wide stance is, he has to bend forward really hard. And if he's bending forward really hard, this makes it easier because now I don't really have to worry about sitting on his leg at all. Because if he's here leaning all the way forward and I have double unders, this is a situation where I can just jump on his back because I don't need to take him down. He's already done that for me. And from here, if I have double unders, I'm not going to get shaken off. And you can just take someone's back. So if he's willing to sacrifice that position to try and avoid one certain thing, just take advantage of what is available, which is just jumping on his back. There's always going to be, like, you were probably drilling at Mike, and he was like putting himself in a position like, well, if I do this, the takedown doesn't work. Well, it's like, okay, but that's not good technique because you're just leaving yourself open for the thing that you're really trying to avoid in the first place, which is getting your back taken. Oh, that's a good one. How do you counter or defend the Ashigarami entry from half guard knee shield? What you don't want to do is sprawl your leg back. So I'll show you, because Miha's got a good Ashigarami entry. So from knee shield, which side is best for you think? Here?
This one, yeah.
So how this works is usually it's with the butterfly hook, right? Or can you just do it right from half guard?
So Ashigarami, I think, is like single leg X.
Oh, he's not talking about the inside Senkaku setup? Ashigarami entry from half guard knee shield. How are you supposed to enter into single leg X from here?
I think probably the only one I could think of was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, that's super easy. I thought it was. Let's answer the better question, which is how to avoid the inside Senkaku setup. So here, what he's going to do the inside Senkaku setup. This is like the move, right? This is the one that made leg locks really effective. He comes, sits up, he pulls me in, and he catches this leg here, brings you down, and then secures the top foot, and then eventually gets the heel hook. So let's see it again. Go through it extra slow. So it's from a butterfly position or a butterfly half. He has the underhook and pulls me forward, and this is the thing right here. Go back. Look how he grabs my right leg first. Turn this way. Here. He's got the butterfly hook. This is lifting me and creating a block so I can't get to his body. And this hook is pulling my leg, and it makes me think that I shouldn't give him this leg, because if I give him the leg, well, what's really going to happen? Nothing, but it feels like he wants this leg, right? So people sprawl this leg back, and that puts their other leg really light, and then they catch the leg they wanted intentionally. So it's really just a trick, because the bottom leg, nothing's controlling it. It's only there because you're instinctively just like putting knee pressure. And when someone reaches for this leg, it feels like you should let go. But really, it's kind of as simple as just giving them the leg they're pulling in the first place. You just don't resist the first hook. Now, it feels like people respect this because from half guard, this is very dangerous. Because look, if he has half guard and he gets this leg, I do have to resist, because if I don't, he has leg locks instantly. But if they have a butterfly hook, you need to recognize that this leg is not in danger from this position. My right leg's not necessarily in danger, not immediately at least, because if he starts to pull my leg here like this, and I am aware of that, it's pretty easy to just step your hips out here, which actually kind of exposes his back, and he's probably not going to take the full motion. That being said, most of the time the setup into the inside senkaku comes from like a knee cut position. So I start knee cutting, and he puts his leg in front in the butterfly, the half butterfly. Here, like this. This is where the position's super strong. And as I try and move to put more pressure, that's where they can catch this leg, and you have to be extra careful. So just be aware that this is the leg they want. It's the knee cut leg. When someone is good at setting up heel hooks, it'll be the knee cut leg that they want for inside senkaku when they have a half butterfly. When it's normal half, the knee cut leg is not in danger. This one's in danger. So you have to be able to recognize the difference between the two situations. And the problem is most people don't. They don't look at it and see that the only thing that's changed is his leg is in front of my leg or not in front of my leg. But the danger is completely opposite for me. One leg would be attacked in one situation and the other leg attacked in the other one. So you need to be trying to move that leg out of the way. And I didn't actually explain how to do that. When you do knee cut pressure, and he has the half butterfly here, you just don't sprawl this leg back. You immediately step this leg out. This is the leg that you want to sprawl. So when he pulls here, I sprawl this leg away so that he cannot create a hook to catch it between his legs. So now even if he goes to try and finish the full motion, if this leg is sprawled, he can't actually catch it. And you can pretty easily avoid the inside senkaku setup. It's not going to like dissolve the position and you pass, but it just stops him from immediately setting it up by not taking the bait immediately. Which is a good thing to know, because a lot of people don't know that. Most people focus on like, oh, I'm in the heel hook now, how do I defend the heel hook? Well, that's where you have very few options. Yeah, that's another good question too, is the matrix guard entry. Like, so the calf slice into knee bar position where this leg comes around here like this, right? If I do nothing, I'm gonna get knee barred here. So let's just show them a few times so they can understand what's happening here. So whichever leg, he's underhooking and throwing this leg over, and he can potentially go into a heel hook or into a knee bar. Yeah. So do the knee bar first, Miha.
I don't really do a knee bar.
Just how would you knee bar me from any of these positions? Exactly. It'd be here, you'd try and get the leg, yeah, and knee bar. And then the heel hook setup as well. He underhooks, throws the leg around, and if I fall, I'm in knee bar or heel hook territory. So it works if I just stand in front of him and keep facing him. It doesn't work if when he goes to underhook my leg, when he throws this leg around here, if I stay here, it's bad for me. It's good for me if I over-rotate. So he's rotating this way. If I rotate with him, that's good for him. But if I rotate in the opposite direction that he's rotating as he throws his leg, and I go this way, it kind of disassembles his attack. Because now he can't transition right into a leg lock, right? You have to reposition and do it all over again to get to a leg lock position. So just by he's rotating this way, and I'm rotating this way, and it creates a situation where he can't really lock it up. So you need to see, like, oh, he's inverting. You have to be aware of what the threat is. Couldn't you twist your knee doing that? Yes. You could also twist your knee walking down the street. Don't do jiu-jitsu if you can't do this. He's here. I'm stepping like this. This whole thing, this is a move that stops him from twisting your knee intentionally by doing a pivot. It's just a simple pivot on your foot, not a big deal. Step your ankles, or grab his ankles to open them up, and then step out again. It's actually a good drill you can do, because this is a very common guard attack. When someone is here, you just step so that you're facing their head again. And now we're just in sort of a 50-50 leg drag scenario, and that can actually help you set up strong passing positions because his legs get put in a bad spot. All right? One more time. If he does it really fast, you might fall to your butt, and that's okay. If I'm here and I fall to my butt like this, it's still fine. I just have to continue turning and clearing my knee out of his control here. See how he has my thigh here? I'm trying to turn and get my knee out. Once your knee is out, you're pretty safe from that setup. The rolling back take from top single leg X is the Kimura trap, right? A lot of good questions in the chat. I don't know which to choose. Is there any from the Kino Line members?
No, I think this one I don't want to answer actually. We have this one here. Some Nogi judo throws or top two most underrated Nogi chokes, which I'm
underrated.
Diesel Squeezel is one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do like a 2 minutes performance on the Diesel Squeezel, like what it is and stuff like that. No, Tony's like, no, don't show them that.
The ancient arm bar. Dude, you guys have been spending too much time on YouTube. No.
Because he's seen you all there.
What is the ancient arm bar? Is that a real move? What's up, Atia? Yeah, I'll show you an underrated choke. One of the first underrated chokes, which is pretty tricky. It's underrated because most people don't try it. Marcelo is really good at this move. I'll show you here in a second. All right. This was what I was always told was the 10-finger guillotine, but that name has been misused so many times that now it's like everything is a 10-finger guillotine from every position. But originally the 10-finger guillotine was called the 10-finger guillotine because all 10 of your fingers were directly involved in the choke. And that's why it was called the 10-finger guillotine. And it no longer means that because of misinformation, I think.
Is this in the front headlock course on Kinan Online as well?
I'm not sure if we included this one. We did? Yeah, so this is on our front headlock course, which basically covers every choke in Nogi. There's probably 14 main chokes that you can go for in Nogi. A lot of them stemming from front headlock. Some from the only other ones are that we didn't cover in the front headlock course are head and arms, right? So there's a choke that kind of resembles a guillotine, but it's easier to pull off for people who don't have strong arms. So if you have lankier, skinnier arms and you don't feel as comfortable getting guillotines, I was like this for a long time until I started doing a lot of bicep curls and my guillotine got a lot better. And that's a true story. I'm not joking. My guillotine got a lot better from doing bicep curls. Bicep curls are good for jiu-jitsu. All right? I have a whole tangent I'm going to go on later about this movement and how important it is in jiu-jitsu. But anyways, when someone shoots on you and their head gets into a position, maybe you defend, maybe you don't. If you're looking to get a choke, you want to submit your opponent, you don't necessarily want to heavily sprawl on his arm trying to defend the takedown. So if his head is in bad position, you need to recognize when it's a good time to take his head deeper. Here, if he especially goes right into my chest, but I kind of slow down the shot for a second, and I can bring the back of his head to my solar plexus here. I'm gonna grab both my hands underneath his chin. So I put one underneath his chin, and then I overlap the other one underneath his chin. And then I pinch my elbows really tight, and I'm creating like a cage for his head. Here, like this. And then I put my hands in a position so that when I put pressure down on his head, it drives my wrist into his chest and actually creates more pressure up into the choke itself. If I put my hand in more of like a chin strap position, this is not going to choke as effectively if my palm was facing up. I hook behind the chin like this. It's almost like I'm not grabbing his chin, if you can see that. I'm not cupping the chin. I have the blade of my thumb right underneath his chin, and then my other hand over the top. Then when I'm here like this, all I'm doing is just sitting my weight and squeezing, and I just go into like a fetal position and hold. And that's literally what's gonna happen. And he can potentially roll or move and fly all over the place. But if I have the pressure, I'm just gonna sit, go fetal, and then start trying to hook his legs with my toes. And that's how you finish this choke. This is why it's underrated, because it looks kind of stupid. But you're here, like this, I get the position, I'm pinching my elbows, and I'm putting pressure on the back of his head, and I sit. This can be enough to choke people. Here, even if he rolls completely, if you have a strong squeeze, I will choke you from here. I'll just choke. Come back, Mijo. And he's gonna be trying to relieve that pressure by trying to get his back flat to the mat. But if you look what I'm doing, my shoulder is going up under his head, and I'm turning so that even if his back is flat on the mat, let's rotate a little. Even if his back is flat on the mat, the choke is still applied because I'm turning in and trying to reach his leg with my toes. Because he reaches a point where he can't escape anymore. And if you're in the proper position and you have your shoulder in the right position, he can't relieve any more pressure. He hits the wall, and then you follow up with your foot over the top. And that was what the 10-finger guillotine was back in my day.
Tony, are you paying attention?
This is a good choke for Tony.
No, I caught him with it a couple
Oh.
times. Yeah.
Oh, one time, first off.
A couple.
When I shot in, and he was like, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. And you can throw on the pressure so fast that a lot of times you don't even have to sit. If you get it like clean here, you can just stand up, and this will be enough. You can just like get him with one of these. So that's one super underrated choke.
If you get it in competition and you lift the person fully off the ground with it, you get a free lifetime Keenan Online subscription with video proof. There's actually a guy that did that. A guy at the European trials, he got this guillotine, literally lifted the guy upside down and choked him.
Yeah, it's a pro wrestling move that works, basically. Pretty effective. The other underrated choke is the arm-in rear naked choke, which I can show as well, which is pretty interesting. So I used to do this one a lot at brown belt. Back in my day, before straight jacket back attacks were a thing, you had to learn how to choke someone the old-fashioned way, which was just elbow grease and determination here. So what I used to do is I would be trying to get these rear naked chokes, but there wasn't really a good system for how to block people's hands, and so you're constantly fighting with their hands and trying to just like grind across their face, and this was how people taught rear naked choke attacks. It was to like do this, where you're just like constantly attacking with both hands until eventually you get it. But what I realized is when I'm here like this, I can set up a pretty effective choke just with my hands in this position where he doesn't feel super threatened. So maybe he just has control of my choking arm. It's pretty easy to clear the choking arm back like this. So you're here, he's trying to control the choking arm. You bring your control arm to the trap here, and then you're just pulling the choking arm out of his reach. He might be still trying to reach for it, but I just pull it out of his reach. Then from here, I lift my elbow to bring his ear closer to his arm so I have actual space to lock here, because if he keeps his lat engaged, I can't connect. It only goes up to my fingers. But if I lift the arm, because he's going to be reaching for my hand, right? So as he's reaching for my hand, look, the arm goes up, so I'm able to go up, and then he can't get the arm back down when I lock here behind his head. So you lock the rear naked choke over the arm, don't let him grab your hand, put it behind, and from this position, you don't squeeze like a normal rear naked choke, you just continue lifting that arm up and then fall back. So it's like an arm in, head and arm from the back. And it works because you pulled your arm out and he reaches for it. So it's kind of like laying a trap. I won my first ADCC trials with that choke. I tapped like 4 or 5 people with it. I had so many matches that day. There's some video of it online you can see in some of my old stuff. And that can be done from turtle, like top turtle, all sorts of different positions. Lasagna 747. We went over the back escape a few days ago on the live stream. It's on Keenan Online now, that back escape system. I haven't seen the vice guard. I'm not familiar with it. Yeah, we can go over, I don't, Leo, you're saying Demian Maya tripod passing. That just sounds like you saw an advertisement for a DVD, and they're just asking me to say what's in the contents of the DVD. But I don't know, that's probably just a title, not necessarily like the movement. Is it a BJJ Scout video? Because there are tripod passes for butterfly, but I haven't seen the exact thing, so I can't analyze it off the top of my head unless I've seen it first. Yeah, I haven't seen that BJJ Scout video, so I can't answer that one until I see exactly what you're talking about. I could just talk about how to pass butterfly with a tripod, but it wouldn't be relevant to what you're asking. Yeah, we'll do one last one here. I'm just looking for the perfect question. The most perfect question in here is going to get the final answer. My favorite catch wrestling move. That's the question that we'll be answering.
Ouch. What the fuck?
All right, guys, let's do a catch wrestling move. One of my favorite catch wrestling moves there is. It's a rib crush spine crank. I hope Yoga did his judo today. I mean, Miha did his yoga today.
I did not.
You didn't do your yoga judo today? Miha does yoga and judo at the same time upstairs for his morning workout.
Yeah, it goes like this. Oh. You do a chaturanga, up dog, down dog, and then
Uchimata.
Uchimata.
That's good mobility. All right, I'm going to show you guys something pretty sick. I've never shown this before, and we're going to have to immediately unlist the video after because it's so freaking cool. This is a move that if you do it on your training partners, they will feel violated and like you have done something to them that they cannot forgive you for because it's so oppressive, okay? So this is going to be done from turtle. So when your opponent turtles here, can you put your head facing to the right? Yeah. So there's hooks in turtle, right? You try and throw your hooks in and you take someone's back. But there's something that I would call a reverse hook, all right? And that's where instead of going from the hip down in between his legs, I go from in between his legs and up to his hip. So let's say I'm attacking Miha's back and he kind of leans forward and gives me space here where I can hook the ankle like this, all right? I hook the ankle, and normally you would use this ankle hook to expose the ability to get your second hook, right? That's what hooking the ankle does. But for this move, I open the ankle here, and I bring my leg up in front of his thigh. See how this is a reverse hook? And I figure 4 here. Now when I figure 4 from this position, I'm going to break his knees away from his chest by driving forward, like this. And this figure 4, as you can see, is locking his knee down in a way that if I put my hips into his hips, it's going to flatten him out here, like this. See this control? Now if I only had lower body control, he could turn towards me, kind of. It wouldn't be the end of the world because I can just get my hooks and then I can be, a ninja master, take his back, whatever. But that's not the full move. The full move is also to incorporate a power half onto the opposite arm. So as I'm setting this up, I'm here, I'm opening up the knee, leaning forward until I can get the ankle, and then I'm setting up the power half on this side. More, here. So I have the ankle, set up the power half, lean forward, do my reverse hook. Once I get my reverse hook, I'm switching my grip so I'm pulling at the shoulder and flattening him out. Here. Do you feel the pressure here, Miha? Miha, try and get up to your knees from this position. You can literally not get up to your knees from here. They're completely pinned. They're just pinned. Look, this is what they do. They post here. And when they post, you're hitting them with this. That's a catch wrestling move. It's really uncomfortable. Are you okay, Mia? This is an emotionally traumatizing move.
Where am I? Where am I? What the fuck just happened?
So, this can be done in a few different ways. The ankle grab is one way, you use your own ankle to grab it. Another way is like when you're dealing with someone's turtle, grabbing the top of their foot and like opening up their leg like this. All right? But I would do it from this side. So I'd be here, I would grab this leg and open up the leg, step my knee through, and then turn my ankle and drop his knee over my reverse hook. I figure 4, get my power half, and break him down. And I'm holding here, putting forward pressure and like putting the spine lock on and the rib crush is already uncomfortable. And when he tries to post his hand to get up, hooking, pressure, and I'm not going, you could go full on cruci right here, crucifix. Hit him with the cruci. But you don't have to, you can just control here because he can't turn into me and he can't turn away from me. He's just totally pinned. And then you just sit up and you can hit him with the pec blaster. Pec blaster is getting applied right now. And then if you just drive more, it's the rib crusher and just start separating all of these tendons.
It's a pretty good stretch. I did some bench press yesterday. It actually still feels good, but not for long.
And then, of course, if you want to just let go, you can go right to side control. So it's a good way to go from turtle to side control as well. So that's your weekly Nogi catch wrestling kill secret.
I think that's some exotic violence right there.
Yeah, that's exotic. So I actually had to stop doing that because I did it to this guy, Pete O'Neill, all the time back at my old gym. And he eventually stopped rolling with me and actually stopped talking to me permanently. That's a true story. I started doing this a lot, and then I just never talked to him again. I don't know what happened. I guess he didn't like it that much. It's kind of tough to like get that reverse hook and understand what's happening there because there is a kind of a subtle control you have to hit, and it's not going to be super easy. It kind of takes some time. You have a question?
I have a question.
What's up?
So when you're having them on turtle and you're reaching for the back leg, what kind of control are you using your left arm to make sure they're not like trying to turn to get away from it?
Yeah, you don't really have to worry about that too much because if they're in turtle, they don't really want to open up from turtle. Like they need to catch something. Like if I have his ankle and I lift like this, he can only really turn into me, right? So this hand doesn't really, I just like lay on him. Like if he turns into me, that's good, but he's not going to because he doesn't want to get his guard passed. He turtled because, he didn't want to get passed, basically. People who turtle is because they don't want to play guard. So pulling the leg like this, stepping my leg in front, lifting, and locking. Figure 4 here. And he can try and keep the turtle, but then when I start driving my hips in, that's where I beat the pressure, and the power half blocks him from being able to turn too much. he can try and turn and face me, but I have this, I'll get the arm even easier. You can even hit him with the old water, what's this one called? The water pump. Hit him with the water pump. Yeah. So that's going to be the last technique. Yeah, it is. It should be. Actually, it's not illegal. You can do that in IBJJF. It actually works better in the gi. I usually do it in the gi. No, you're not going to break their back. It's just going to be really uncomfortable on their back. Maybe some soft tissue damage.
Tony's still dodging live. Kinda.
He's over here. I'm smirking because I enjoy that move so much. And I have so many fond memories of doing it to people.
So, who said that?
Are other lesser known controls from wrestling like the power half worth looking into? Of course. Any sort of control grip is powerful. In Nogi, it's mostly about control positions. And I've been calling them control points. Just like different grips and holds that actually give you some sort of control. Will yesterday's guard passing session be uploaded to Keenan Online? Yes. The techniques from there will be on the website. I think I have tried this on Tony before, but it didn't work. He was too squirmy. I wasn't ready to go full power on it. All right, guys, let's bow it out. Great job today, everyone. Whoops.
Can you just tell them again to go vote on what we're doing?
Oh, okay. If you guys want to pick the topic on Friday, if you don't, I'm just going to pick the topic, which I don't mind doing. But go to KeenanOnline.com/LegionLive, and you can vote on the topic if it matters to you. And there'll be a link in here in a second, I'm sure. All right, thank you, guys. Did you guys want to roll today, or are we chilling? Or?
No,
I'll roll.
Isn't your rib hurt? You'll be, nah.
I said nah.
Nah? So does that mean no?
It means I know my body. If I feel it, I'll just not use that side.
Well, maybe you guys should warm up really good.
I'm gonna go change. You guys should warm up.
I'm warm. I've been moving around a lot. We got to turn on the lo-fi music again. Hey, this isn't the lo-fi. I guess it is.
Someone asked Gordon against Marcelo who wins. Like, come on.
Let him ask her dumb questions.
Just like this.
Huh? Cover that? What do you mean the sound is doubling? It's probably just getting picked up from this microphone because no one is talking. One of these rash cards, unfortunately, right now we don't have any in stock, and then because we closed down, we didn't really order more, so right now we don't have any. So when we reopen, they're gonna be on our online shop, which we will reopen tomorrow because we have merches. Guys, can we let this Marcelo Garcia versus Gordon thing go? It's been like 6 minutes now. Let's instead focus on what's going on the mats there. As you can see, Keenan's doing the front headlock system. He's got a tight guillotine going. All of this, like literally all of this, we recorded a couple of months ago for the Nogi front headlock course on Keenan Online. So you can watch that with really clear and structured instruction. Tony is strong as hell though, so he's fighting strong and tough. I teach at Legion, but I don't have a permanent class. I could if I wanted to, but I have other stuff that I'm in charge of that are far more important than me teaching. So I teach as a substitution when Keenan isn't here. We can always find talented people to teach here, but someone needs to run the business as well. And we're gonna have kids classes after we reopen. Someone asked up there, how does this system compare to Danaher's front headlock system? So I don't know what that system is, the Danaher's one in its entirety. I would imagine there's some overlap, but I think Keenan also never consulted the full Danaher system, so he's just showing his system. Like I said, there's a finite number of moves you can do, so there's probably some overlap, but I'd say it's unique. Yeah, I'm still married, and if you ask questions like that in the stream, I'm gonna get the type of death stare from Emma, who's behind the camera, that I'm getting right now, which I don't like. So she just turned to check who asked that, and now you're on the list. Whoops. So Jiu-Jitsu for Odin, I would be really careful what I'm commenting right now, because I'm gonna put you in timeout. So we have about a minute left, and we're starting from the feet again. Here we can see the stage that we were talking about earlier during the stream, the hand fighting. which is a little bit labored now. Keenan kind of gave a front headlock here to Tony to see what he'll do with it and possibly counter. Tony's on the guillotine, but he's not committing to it yet. He's just kind of using it as a control. I would have tried to snap Keenan down when I had the chance, but they're back. 20 seconds. Oy. But Keenan's dragging the leg over. Let's see if he can get up. See, this, in my opinion, is a super underrated part of jiu-jitsu, which is getting taken down, but not staying taken down. Tony's a blue belt, but belts don't really matter, so you can judge by yourself from seeing him roll.
To his knees. Stay on top. Stop falling to your side. You're not able to come up from there. Every time you put yourself here, you're just trapping your bottom leg so you don't have mobility. You gotta put the butterfly hook in and use the bottom leg to get your hips out. Yes, yes, every time. Yes, use it to sweep or come up. Stop pulling to bottom weight. Shots too. Yes, take shots, middle shots, constantly be moving. Every time you get a strong grip, do a throw by and shoot. Yes. Drive, drive, drive. Defend the choke, defend the choke. Roll to your side, yes. Keep your frames back with your elbows. Grab them by their head and roll them over. They just pass. Nice space. Get your knees back in. Guard back. Nice. Close guard. Close guard. Set up Kimura. Underhook the legs. Lumberjack sweep. Watch the heel hooks. You gotta get your feet back together. Push your knees out. Push your knees out. Straighten those both legs straight. Get your knees free. Get both knees free. Watch the heel hook. lock yourself next time. Stand up. Get your legs free. Come on top. You gotta sweep with this now, otherwise you're getting a leg drag. Come out the back. Come out the back. Look for the back attack. Watch the leg lock. He wants that toe hold. Yeah, underhook both legs. Left arm has to underhook the leg too. Right now, it's straight. Time to underhook. Left arm. Left arm underhook the leg. Slow. You gotta open up this lock, otherwise you get packed. You gotta open it and defend. Pass to your left, hard. Pass the legs, clear the legs. Left arm around the neck. Left arm cross face. You gotta pass. Heads out, let's pass. Don't let him grab your legs, you gotta keep moving. Side to side. Clear the legs and pass. Left, right, left, right. Don't let him stand up.
The overhook. You can't get the overhook. You stand in front of me like this. You know, like, yeah, awesome. If you're here, then it's gonna do its job. But before, I went to like the 2 single legs, and you went to your back, and I had 1 underhook on you already when we landed. That's what Keenan was saying, like, don't do that, don't go. Make sure you're back. Thank you. Yeah guys, we're waiting for Keenan to get finished texting. Let's see what we have going on. Did you guys like that roll? I wouldn't say that my judo background makes me stronger on the feet than Keenan. No, unfortunately. It gives me some tricks. I have some tricks. I can be competitive, but I wouldn't say I'm stronger. You know? Jiu-jitsu sparring on the feet, especially Nogi, is a lot different. Knee on neck, yeah. I did attempt a 10-finger guillotine there, that's for sure. What was that closed guard escape? It's literally what you should be doing. Getting your hands to the inside of their armpits. In the gi, you would use the collar like Keenan's been showing, and then you just stand up. I don't think I'll do MMA again. No. I love MMA. I think it's the toughest sport on the planet. Maybe even my favorite one to watch. But with that respect, I would just not do it myself. I don't want to get punched in the face. Huh? No? Tony, you want to do another one? So what happened? Breaking news, everybody. Keenan said he doesn't want to roll anymore. Out of respect for him, I won't tell you the excuses that he said. But Tony and I will roll again, so you can watch that. So yeah, we probably have one more round coming up, and then we'll wrap it up. Huh? Oh, I'll do my best. I'm tired doesn't mean I have to go now. I'm tired doesn't mean I have to go now. Huh? Alright guys, we have one more coming up. Golden score. Whoever wins, wins. Jiu-jitsu forever.
Tony has only trained for 8 years. Where is he? In his car? Driving him. Oh. He left?
Team Tony. Hashtag Tony boys. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it today. Catch the full streams and the rolls on KeenanOnline.com. Lapel Encyclopedia is still on sale. Grab it. Tomorrow we're doing Street Jiu-Jitsu, Volume 3. I don't know if I've expressed this, but it's by far my favorite stream of the week. It's gonna be fun. Tony's gonna be involved this week again. So we're gonna be, man, who knows what could happen. Weapons, slap jitsu, MMA gloves, you never know. You need to be here Wednesdays.
Friendships might be.
Us. See you guys.